So let's talk about another subject that's been on the blog recently, which is military docs. Now, most of the companies, if they sell you a policy before you go on active duty, they will give you the opportunity to suspend it while you're on active duty. Now, most of the policies say they won't pay for an active war, but obviously there's lots of ways to get disabled that aren't an active war. What would you say to a doc wondering if he or she should suspend their policy as they go on active duty? Would you recommend they suspend it or that they don't suspend it?
It's a very good question. So that will depend on the policy that you own, right? So let's use principal for an example. Principal policies must be suspended the minute you go active duty. So you really don't have a choice but to put that policy in suspension, and they'll allow you to pick it up to 5 years without any evidence of insurability back once you become a civilian. Now, there are other companies like Mass Mutual and Standard that will allow you to keep your policy active as long as you're stateside and there's no act of war related to the claim. So they will pay that claim. Now, there's a company like Emeritus that is a caveat, right? So they do not require you to suspend your policy as an active duty physician. They will cover you. However, the claim payout will depend on the nature of the disability. So, for example, let's say you were in, your uniform, and you were in a military Jeep and you got into an accident and the military says you're entitled to a full payment. Well, in that case, Emeritus is not going to pay, even though your policy was active. But if you were off base on a weekend playing football with your friend and you got injured, then they will pay. So it really boils down to the policy that you have. So my recommendation to all active duty physicians is call your broker, have a discussion with him about what your policy represents. What do you have to gain by paying the policy? Or is it redundant to pay that policy? And then make that decision individually based on your condition, based on your situation. If you're going stateside, by all means, call your broker and put that policy in suspension because you're paying for coverage you're never going to be able to claim.
You mean if you're going overseas?
I'm sorry, if you're if you're not going to be stateside and if you're going overseas, by all means, take that policy and put it in suspension because you're not covered. But if you're stateside, definitely have a discussion with your broker to determine your eligibility and your options.
The hosts of the YQA Investor Podcast are not licensed accountants, attorneys, or financial advisors. This podcast is free entertainment and information only. It should not be considered professional or personalized financial advice. You should consult the appropriate professional for specific advice relating to your situation.